Marked rooms are insanely priced within PvE, costing about 15.5 million if you want to pick one of these bad boys up. In terms of the Dorms marked room key, if you want some of the reserve keys, it can be even more, especially the RBBK key, and if you want the other ones, it can still be upwards of 9 million and in that region. So very, very expensive to purchase marked room keys, but is it all actually worth your time to actually buy these keys, open up the rooms? We did one on essentially the labs keycards, which was, yeah, not so good for the majority of them, and that is kind of going to be the story of today's video, whereby only 2 of them off the bat, like guaranteed, will probably make you money. So like a very, very high chance of making you money, more so than not. Whereas things like the Dorms marked room key having to guarantee 1.5 million roughly, or maybe even upwards of 1.8 million, it depends how much you buy the key for because of those 10 uses, can essentially not make you any money. And so when you consider that, you can lose money from opening the keys, much with the labs keycards. And BSG try and do this thing where it's like, oh, you can get lucky, or it's supposed to be kind of a risk versus reward, but even if you get the reward, you can still lose money depending on what that reward is. And the reward at the end of it, the kind of big holy grail, oh my god, I made a load of money, is actually you making about 1 million rubles, which you can go and do on a lighthouse run in just one run. So, you know, whoop-de-doo, I made 1 million rubles from spending 10 raids opening up this key and extracting and hoping not to get taken out. And if you get taken out, you lose even more money. So that's kind of how it works in terms of these keycards in general. But there are a couple of exceptions, and those exceptions are the streets marked rooms, which are the essentially the abandoned factory. So if we search these ones up, I'll give you a rundown of what you can expect in the rooms as well. So the abandoned factory marked room right now is sat at around 11 million rubles. So quite expensive, but still a lot cheaper than all of the other marked room keys that are kind of available in the game, I guess, because Streets is a more intensive on your PC, and because it's also a server side thing, which is gonna get into a topic that we'll do later on in today's video. So if you have a Dorms marked room key, you might want to watch that video or any of the other marked room keys, because it's going to be broken and you're going to make a ton of money, at least right now on the game. So the abandoned factory key, obviously this one only costing you 1 million to open up the key, and they have a good chance of picking up key cards within the room, which is going to be where you make the majority of money, plus all of the loose loot in the room, probably equaling about 400 to 500k, if not more. And so you you'll make your money back. I think I can safely say that you're getting about 5 million in just general loot within the room over the 10 raids that you'll be doing it. Plus, you're probably guaranteed at least 2 keycards, I would say, out of the 10 uses from my personal use since the patches and everything that's changed with the loot spawns. It's about 2 keycards, I would say, is safely within reach. So you're going to make your money back and probably make quite a bit of money as well if you do get slightly better than average luck. And actually, from experience, I've been getting about a keycard every half a raid, or every 2 raids, or about once every 3 raids. So it's in between like 1 every 2 and 1 in every 3. So that's kind of how I've been doing it, but safely I'm going to say 2. And so you probably make your money back on average from this key. So yeah, pretty good one. Dorms marked room key, not really going to be as good in terms of the money back. But there's a reason for that, and there's a reason why it's more expensive than some of the best marked rooms in the game, because not only is Abandoned Factory quite a good marked room to actually open up, but so is this one that we're going to showcase right now, which is the mysterious room key, which is this one right here. And this one is actually surprisingly cheap. It will cost you 5 million rubles, so we're going to buy that one there because I'm sure I will use it at some point. I'm sure I've already got quite a few of these keys lying around somewhere, but I'll buy it for 5 million. I'm more than happy to do that. It's a Streets key, and we may not, oh yeah, we've got another one, so that's fine. We actually found that one, so we'll bundle those together and we'll use them at some point later on down the line. But there you go. We've got a lot of marked room keys just lying about in the stash, but the whole point is that you can now guarantee loot, which is what it's all about. And so the rooms themselves, as I said, you can get a lot of just general loot within the rooms. This is from 3 openings. This is what we got in terms of the loot from the dorms room. So all of the loot changes depending on which map you're on and which key you're opening. The reserve keys are typically worse, and so you won't get as many rare spawns and stuff like that with regards to something like RBPKPM key, but RBBK you can get quite a few of the actual rares within it, but not as good as the dorms one or the streets ones in terms of the rare loot spawns, other than the key cards and stuff like that, which do spawn, but as again, dorms and the streets ones spawn keycards at a much higher rate than the rest of the marked room keys. And if you're looking at something like the bedroom marked room for the lighthouse area, then that one is also very, very poor in terms of the keycards that you can get, if you can even get keycards in those rooms at all. So that is really a kind of opening it up to hopefully get some rare loot as opposed to hopefully getting some actual keycards themselves. But you can make quite a lot of money just based on the rare loot, and then the keycards really do add in. But with that out the way and the kind of introduction to marked rooms and the sort of ones that are actually worth it, I'll give you an overview right now which ones are the ones worth actually buying. Based on the sheer loot, if you go in, open every single one of them, and you're not doing any fancy things, which we're going to showcase in the next video in about an hour to an hour and a half, 2 hours after this one, which you want to stick around and actually watch when it does come out, because it's going to make you tens of millions of rubles in a very short period of time. But essentially, if you're not doing anything of the shenanigans that can go on within Escape from Tarkov's PvE mode and you're just opening them, the only ones I would ever recommend are the Check 13 or Mysterious Marked Room Key as it's actually called, and the Abandoned Factory Marked Room Key. Those are the 2 ones that I would recommend. All of the rest of them, probably not worth opening, at least for the most part, because even though the actual reserve keys can be traded in for a dorm's marked room key, you still have to get some loot out of those, and the actual money that you're making every raid over the total cost that you're putting in is pretty low, and you probably make more money just running a map that makes you 2 million rubles every single time without the requirement to use any key uses or anything like that, and you'd probably make more money doing that. So you kind of have to factor those things in as well when you think about things like that. But for those of you wondering, those are the keys that I would recommend right now on the game. If they suddenly go up in price after this video, if loads of people go out and buy them, don't be silly. Don't buy them for any more than I've showcased in this video. If they're above, if they go up by 3 million, don't buy them, because essentially that's just eating into your profit, and you're going to have to make an additional 300k every single time that you open up that room, which, can you guarantee that, given that you pretty much break even as it is right now and maybe make a 3, 4, 5 million profit depending on how lucky you get with key cards? Is it worth it? Probably not. So with that being said, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like it and stay tuned, because part 2 of this is coming out later on, and it's going to show you how to make a lot of money guaranteed every single time, even if it isn't particularly how BSG would like you to do it. So with that being said, I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.